and welcome to another episode of the GYST. When it comes to life, love, and the pursuit of happiness, sometimes you just need a moment to get your shit together, and so do we. I'm your host, Kay Bellamy. I mean, it's kind of like that melancholy kind of day, like, dang, it's Wednesday.
Yeah.
But anyway, I got my co-host here, it's Val and Steph, and we got a lot to talk about because this is our What Would You Do segment. And so, yeah, we got some stuff to rap about. So, before we get there, how you doing, Val?
I'm doing good. Like we said, it's one of those days. It's like the middle of the week, and I'm still trying to get back into my routine from being on vacation. So, yeah, It's right. That's kind of where I am. Just trying to get myself there. And by the time I get back in the routine, it'll be Friday.
Right.
What's going on with you, Steph?
Not a whole lot. Same thing. Just kind of, going with the flow. It's the first day of fall, so maybe that's what it is.
It's the first day of fall.
Yeah, maybe that's what it is.
Yeah.
So that's kind of cool.
Maybe the moon is doing something. Moon is rising.
Yeah. The moon has been beautiful the last couple of nights.
I was going to say it has been for the last few
beautiful.
days. Yes, it has been. For the last few days, it has been awesome. So, as I said, tonight is all about what would you do, okay? And so there's a lot of things that we need to figure out what will we do in these situations. And first, because of one of the biggest headlines in the news today with Gabby Petito, the question is, what would you do if your son or daughter is in a toxic relationship? And they're young and they're in a toxic relationship. They're really not listening to you saying, it's the wrong place to be, or you might be trying to tread lightly because you don't want to say it's the wrong place to be. What do you do when you know that your kid, not even your kid, your young adult is in a toxic relationship?
See, I think some of it depends on if they live with you or don't live with you.
If they live with you.
Okay, I'm going to say this. The first thing that needs to happen is they need to remain living with you. I think once they move out, there is a separation that's there. You're not having eyes on them all the time. I am, God knows it's true, I am not finding fault with her parents. But that young lady was living in another state. Her parents are in New York. She's all the way down there in Florida with his people. I am just not a believer of being somewhere where you are isolated from your family. So if it's me, I'm keeping mine close. And I don't care if people, talk about, they're 25. Why are they still at home? Mind your business.
I know that's right.
And listen, I have gone on record and said, I'll fight them 4 and up. So,
girl, listen.
Because my daughter is 4. And actually, I used to say I fight them 3 and up. So every time she get a new age, I'm fighting them from that age up.
Right.
But I think just like Steph said, it depends on if they're living with you and if you know that it's toxic. Like, do you know that she's being abused? I mean, we don't, you haven't heard all of that, like whether they knew that or not, that this was an abusive relationship. So, I mean, while all of that's coming out, but I would say as a parent, if I knew it, I would be doing everything I can to get her or him out of it.
And I'll add this. If you have her father or her uncle, brother, any male person that's involved in her life, have them talk to that dude.
No, they should have been beating his ass a long time ago. If they knew,
I'm just saying, if you got a man in the picture, there is no reason for there to be a toxic relationship going on, because that should have been a conversation between them two.
But sometimes you have to remember, sometimes a lot of that toxicity is hidden.
Exactly.
It's hidden. So you don't really know how toxic it is.
Right.
Because when you look, and I think even for this girl, I don't think her parents really knew the depth of how toxic their relationship really was. And a lot of times when you talk about toxic relationships, we automatically go to the male being the abuser, and sometimes it's the female.
Whoever
Sometimes
it is, that's your baby. Again, I don't care if they're 35 years old. That's your baby.
That's why I said, if I know, I'm doing everything I can to get you out of it. But like you said, sometimes you don't know. And we don't know whether they knew. I mean, like Steph said, she's living in another state with this guy, and she was a social media influencer. So everything she posts, they look super lovey-dovey. They set out on this trip to go across country for a couple.
I don't like that either. You ain't taking me down roads like that.
And
that
but the problem is that you don't see anything wrong with doing that initially.
No, you don't.
You don't know that it's toxic. You kind of thinking to yourself, and they were living with his parents. They were living with his parents. So you think, all right, they with his parents, they must be safe. She must be safe. Or,
I don't believe that part either. You know, I think maybe because I don't trust people. You know, and value your line of work, I
get it.
Like, I don't know those people.
I don't trust people with my kids. And even though they're adults, even more so, my red flag goes up. I'm like, because you can hide and you can camouflage a lot of shit when you're an adult.
Especially long distance, especially when you are not, you know, he's not coming over every Friday. He's not coming to the house to pick her up. Or if it's, you know, the woman who's being, you don't see it. You're just not seeing it. I have no issue with keeping kids close.
But then you add something else to that, and he shows back up at home without her. And like your parent, you're showing back up at your parents' house, and your parents don't even say anything.
Well, that's why they should be arrested for obstruction of justice, because they know something. He showed back up at that house without that girl driving her van.
No way.
And then
they don't even question it. Like they'll say anything.
They did.
Well,
yes,
no,
they did.
He told, I will.
No, I'm saying they don't question it publicly.
Oh, right.
They just sit on it, and they knew that this was happening for 10 days.
And then now that the police finally get around to deciding to talk to him, because I'm saying if he had been black, they'd have picked his ass up 5 minutes after he got back. But they let him sit home forever. And then as they go, then the parents are like, oh, he went hiking 3 days ago. Hiking?
I know.
Stop.
And, you know, and her parents are just beside themselves with the fact that now they have confirmed that, you know, they confirmed her body, that they found her body. But for him to come home to his parents' house, I don't get that. But you know what? It's crazy because every time we hear one of these tragic stories where these kids are living right under their parents' roof, and it's like, what are we missing?
Yep.
What are we missing?
A lot of people don't pay attention. It's easier not to pay attention.
What are we missing?
It's easier not to pay attention.
And we think because they're adults, and listen,
they're not adults.
I am not a fan of people who live in the bedroom.
No, not at all.
I'm not a fan of people who live in the bedroom, because that's where most shit happens. People come home from their day, they do all sorts of, you know, they go through their day, and then they come home and retreat right to the bedroom. And back in the day, that's what fathers did. A lot of fathers lived in the bedroom. When they came home, you know, that's where they watched TV. That's where they.
But they usually had the door open. They had the door open.
This kids are different. They close the doors. In my parents' house, you couldn't close no doors.
You don't close doors in my house now. I told, like, listen, no bomb will be built here that I don't know about.
I know that's right. I know.
I've told everybody in the house, you don't have a room. It's my room, and I let you use it.
So now here's the next part of what would you do? What would you do if it were your kid who showed up home and had murdered his girlfriend?
There is no way I could sleep at night. As difficult as it would be to have to address this with my child, you know, because here's the thing. I know they're adults legally. Okay. The fact is they're 22 and 23. All right. They're still very young, right? In my mind, they're kids. I would feel responsible for that individual to their parents. You know, if I have a 20-year-old or 23-year-old living with me, I'm responsible to their parents for them. I do believe.
Would you have gone? So if you knew that was your son,
I would not have let him go on the run. No, we got to deal with it.
Would you have turned him in?
I would have had him turn himself in. We'll go together. We'll do something. There's no way I am going to allow him to be silent. And this girl is missing for what, 10 days?
Yeah.
Or her parents, and her parents are calling, and that's the person. Please tell us something. Tell us something. Nope, we ain't talking to you. I'm sorry. Those parents.
Would you have gone to her parent? Would you have?
I would have been
gone
on a plane. I would have on a plane to Florida to talk to them people. I would not have stayed in Philadelphia or New York. No.
Yeah. I have to agree.
Yeah, it's like, it's painful, but I would have absolutely turned him in, and it is painful. But it's either, we're all going to jail, because listen, when they find out his parents knew something and chose to stay silent, the fact that you're his parent is not going to be an excuse.
Right.
And if it's an accident, we're going to go ahead and get ahead of the story and tell what happened.
And if it's an accident, then there was no reason that you couldn't come forward and say that in the first place, or report it yourself. You drive all the way back home to Florida from Utah or Wyoming, wherever you left her.
And so young, just so young. And it's hard because a lot of times, with kids today, they don't like to tell you a lot about their relationship, what kind, what's happening, what they talk about, what they do. They don't like to do a lot of that. But, and I don't think we did either when we were coming up. Our parents forced us to, because we were sitting on the sofa in the living room. So you didn't have any choice. But for them to know,
mine tell me a lot more than I openly shared with my parents. But I remember when they were little, I would always say, we can talk about anything. And I would start conversations, because my thought is, when you're 3 and 4 and 5, I want you to tell me everything. You can drone on about little Malik in school and what he did and what Bobby said and all that. Because it's kid stuff now. But one day it's going to be important adult situations that we have to deal with. And we've had some. We've had some real
absolutely.
Started when they're young. Just talk about everything.
Exactly. They have to open up to you to talk about it. So, as we continue to just keep, her family in prayer, seriously, because that's just tragic all over. And she's not the first. She won't be the last.
I know.
It's important for us to, even if your children are adults, it's important for you to stay connected to who they are, because when they are in toxic relationships, most of the time they don't realize they're in toxic relationships.
Right.
That is why, like we talked about before, Stephanie, it's important to have your tribe, your village, because they will see things you don't see.
Yep.
Especially when, and some people like, and in relationships, some people like that whole, hardcore kind of relationship stuff happening. Everybody don't like it soft and cuddly.
Yeah. And
so it's important to pay attention to that too, because some of them like it just like that, because that whole fighting and stuff they talked about in there, that was insane. It wasn't the first time, and they do it all the time.
Exactly.
And they in his parents' home. That's what I'm saying. People have seen this stuff going on.
Absolutely. All right. So here's the next. What would you do? Your friends come to visit, and they're coming for a visit to stay overnight. You haven't seen them in a while. They come and they break something very valuable in your house. Do you ask them to pay for it?
Yes. I'm saying, if you're my friend, you should be offering, but
some don't. If they don't, do you ask them? Now, if they, not only do you ask them, but if they say no, where does the relationship go from there?
It's not as close, and you probably can't stay at my house again. Because listen, if you say no, I can't make you. That's okay.
Right.
But yeah, we're not as close. Obviously, the friendship is not going to be the same.
What would you do, Stephanie?
I don't think I'd come right out and say, "You paying for that, right?" But I'd be like, "Oh my God, that costs like $2,500. You know that, right?"
You casually put the price tag on.
You know how much that costs, right? And to your point, if they don't pay for it, we're probably good after that. See, Val, I don't even know what I could say to you after that.
Exactly.
Every time I see him, like, you broke my XYZ that cost $2,500. I wouldn't say it, but in my head,
you would always be thinking it. You'd always be. And see, for me, if they break it and, you know, someone's reaction is like, oh my God, I can't believe I broke that. And I was like, listen, it can be replaced for $2,500.
What you say? It can be replaced by you for
Right.
$2,500.
It can be replaced. So
Yeah.
make
would
the check payable to me.
Now, the hope, first and foremost, the hope would be that they would offer
That they
automatically.
offer.
That
Right.
would be the hope. But if you do not, yeah, I'm asking you to pay for that.
Yeah.
I'm definitely going to ask you to pay for that. And that puts a strain on friendships and relationships. But yeah, I'm asking you for that.
Absolutely.
All right. What would you do if you found out your man, your husband, hit on your girlfriend? She turned him down, but nonetheless, he hit on her.
He's not my man or husband anymore.
he's not.
Does he go?
Does he what?
You gone? It's over.
Is he gone?
Yep.
Yeah, I'm gonna help him pack. It's going right there on the
You're
curb.
telling me 20 years in, 15
Yes,
years
it's
in.
done. Yes.
Because the truth is,
Yeah.
that's not the, first of all, that's not the first time you've done it. That's not the first time you've done it. It
And
just
here's the
means
other
the first
thing.
time I found out about it.
We live in a world, you have 5 billion other people you could have tried to pick up. You can pick up my friend? So now you've humiliated me in addition to cheating on me. Oh, absolutely not.
Right. Yeah.
But nothing happened.
I don't
He
care.
hit on her.
I don't
Doesn't
care.
matter. Because now she knows it and she's telling somebody it happened.
Right?
She's telling somebody it happened.
No, we're not doing that. I can't
Mm-mm.
even look at you straight again. We're not
Right.
doing that.
What happens to your relationship with your girlfriend? Does it stay intact?
Oh, yeah, we're fine.
Because if she came and told me about it,
We're fine.
yeah, we're fine.
Okay.
We're good.
Because I'm not blaming her. If she didn't, if he hit on her, she turned him down, but then she came and told me about it. Yeah, I don't have issue with her.
Yeah.
Works with me.
I had someone come tell me something sensitive one time. It wasn't quite that. But she and I told her, I appreciate you sharing that with me.
About your husband, though?
No.
Oh,
No.
yeah.
No.
Yeah.
That's totally disrespectful.
that's
We've
a
never
little
did anything
different.
like that.
That's a little different. And believe it or not, truth be told, there's a huge percentage of women, there's a huge percentage of women who would not leave their husbands or their man. And the first thing they say is, nothing happened.
Yeah.
Good
But
for them.
Right. Exactly. Because like I said, that's not the first time you've done it. That's just when I found out. That's not the
right,
first time.
right. All right. So now you've been offered the ultimate job, with the ultimate pay. And you're like, oh my God, this is my dream job. But the job is in Italy.
Shoot, you could have said it was across the street. I'm packing my bag tonight. If it was I got to go, ladies. I'm getting ready to start. I love Italy. I'm out of here.
What? Would you go?
What? I'm going now. Where's it at? Had you said something like Romania or the Czech Republic, maybe I'm like, But Italy? Shoot, girl, please. Let me get my stuff now.
So you leave it all behind and you be out.
Leave what? You can get on a plane and come visit? What? I'm not leaving anything behind. I'm expanding all of our options.
Listen, I'm with you. I'm with you, girl. What would you do, Val? Would you leave it all behind?
No, I probably would not.
Yeah.
Yeah, I probably would not. One, I've been to Italy. It didn't call me like that.
I loved it.
I mean, I loved Italy. I loved visiting Italy. As a matter of fact, one of my high school friend of mine that I went to high school with, we ended up working together at a job probably like 5 years ago. And she just recently moved to Italy because she was married to a man who was from Italy, and they ended up deciding to move back to Italy. But, she moved there because that's where he's from. But I think for me, and yeah, I get the whole thing. Yeah, you can hop on a plane and come back, but because of the relationship I have with my family, like my mother and my sister and, my family here, I couldn't go live abroad.
Yeah.
Not at this
I've
point.
actually thought about moving. I've actually thought about it. I briefly considered it. But see, our situations
Moving abroad?
Yeah.
Moving abroad?
Yeah. But our situations are different. Both of my
Right.
parents have passed. I have young
Absolutely.
adults. Like, you're in a different place. I couldn't have done
Exactly.
that 10 years ago, 15 years ago. No.
Right.
Yeah. It would be hard for me for the same reasons of, that it's hard for Val.
Yeah.
To go that far. I mean, because I moved to California and lived
Right.
in California, and that was far. Italy, I'm like, yeah, no. Because my people.
Yeah. Yeah. I couldn't do it. Not at this point in my life with, having a 4-year-old and, the value of her being around her grandparents and I couldn't leave. No.
All right, so you married or you with your man or whatever, and you've been in it for a while. Val, you've been married for 14 years.
Mm-hmm.
Stephanie, you were married for 17 years.
Mm-hmm.
I was married for 6 months. So
it's all even.
The details.
it's all good. It's all good.
Details, right?
Husband walks in and calls you fat.
I'm gonna ask him if he's okay. We need to check your blood pressure.
Right.
Are you stroking out or something?
Are you okay? You gotta know me well enough to know this is not gonna go well for you. So I just need to know.
Like, if you try to leave, you can just say, "Baby, I don't really want this no more." We ain't gotta have a pots and pans fight. Like, you just
But just like, we ain't gotta pull out the big guns, okay? He just straight up.
Because there's so many other things you could have called me aside from fat that I might have reacted better to.
You too fat.
I'm not gonna say what I would have said.
I tell you one thing, we not sleeping together that night. Okay.
Oh, I don't know where he gonna sleep. I know where he not gonna sleep.
Right. I was gonna say, I know where I'm sleeping. I don't know where he's sleeping.
We not sleeping together.
You ain't sleeping here.
Oh,
listen, I'll tell him, clearly it ain't enough room in the bed because I'm fat.
Oh, my
you can't, so you can't sleep here.
Listen, all you gotta do is tell him to take his fat ass downstairs, because if I'm fat, we eating the same shit. So
exactly, because you're eating what I cook. So okay. I don't.
Take your fat ass to the sofa. How about you do that?
Like I said, I'm gonna take his blood pressure because something has happened.
Right.
We need to
or call 911 and report that something has about to happen. so they can get ahead of it.
Give them a heads up. Give them a heads up. That's
right. Like call them and say, "Listen, I'm calling to report a murder. Who is it?" My husband. He about to be murdered. Listen, probably by the time I hang up the phone.
There's a show that just came out, Why Women Kill. That would be one. That would be one reason why women kill. Yeah. Call me fat. Yeah.
Right. Because I assure you, he's not skinny.
Of course. And if he is, I don't care if he is.
I don't care what you are.
That would be why women kill. Okay. That would be it.
I guess you better think of another F word, fabulous, something. But when that starts coming out your mouth,
right? You better be saying I'm fly.
You fly. You're flexible. It's a whole bunch of F words you can say aside from that.
So you're at an event, right? You're at an event. And, everybody's having a good time. Everybody's having a great time. You go into the bathroom and there is one of your friends or coworkers or a female in there being beaten by her man. What do you do? He's slapping her around. He's beating her.
Oh, that's 2-on-1 now.
Right.
I'm jumping in.
What you say?
She's tagging in. She's tagging in. like girl, tap out. I got it.
We jumping in.
What you say, girl? Tap out. Tap straight out. Okay.
Like, I don't care who he is.
The hand dryer coming off the wall or something going on.
I'm looking around. Okay, what can I get? Take off my shoe. Something.
And then after I help her beat his ass, then I'm calling the cops.
And I hope it's a work event, because by that time I may have hurt my back. Is that considered workers' comp?
So now you need workers' comp. Would you do the same thing if you were passing it on the street and you saw a woman being beaten by her man and you're passing by? What would you do?
I wouldn't jump in, but I would call the police.
Yeah. I'd make a ruckus, make a whole lot of noise and yell and, but I don't know if I'd jump in if I don't know her like that.
Do you stick around? Do you stick around until the police come?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Wow. Yeah, I would too.
Yeah, because if I made the call, I want to be there to give my statement. So yeah, I would stick around. Yeah. Again, I wouldn't jump in because, folks fighting on the street or whatever they're doing, you just never know how that's going to evolve. And you're not trying to get yourself killed at the same time with two people you don't know and don't know anything about, and you don't know who's packing what. So I'm not jumping in, but I'm absolutely calling the police.
Yeah.
And you know what? We talked about this a little bit earlier. Some people have relationships like that. You don't know those.
Right.
Carry on in the street. That may be a regular event for them.
Well, listen, that's when they were talking about that Gabby Petito and her boyfriend and how the cops stopped them. And she was crying because some bystanders saw them fighting and called the police. Mm-hmm. And the police did stop them. They got body cam footage. And what they suggested is they spend the night apart. But I'm sure that police unit, they're probably rethinking, should we have done something different when we came and intervened? But that's usually what happens. You just tell them, okay,
what happens.
You need to separate, whatever. And they're probably like, oh, we're fine. We're just, we're just spending too much time together. And it just got a little heated, and they let them go. And now the girl ends up dead.
I mean, any of us who know police know how much of their time they spend answering domestic violence calls.
Mm-hmm.
That's every night. They walk in and people are, I was in the middle of one. I wasn't the one I wasn't the part of the couple. It was one of my friends. And she called me, and stupid me, I go over there. What's going on here? And police showed up, and I'm talking to the police, and, he was just, he made her husband leave for the night, and that was it.
Right. Exactly.
Domestic violence is hard for everyone involved, because the problem with the law around it is that if she never presses charges, or he never presses charges, then what are we doing here?
Right.
A lot of what the case is that they never press charges because people think that when I love someone, you don't want to do anything to hurt them, although he done knocked you upside your head or she done knocked you upside your head. You still saying, I love them. I don't want to press charges against them, but that's a lot of the reason why people do not get involved in domestic violence.
Yep.
Because it comes right back together. A lot of times it comes back together.
And now they're mad at you.
And now they're mad at you because you got involved and you know the story now. And they feel in shame and all sorts of things because now you know what's happening inside their household. And it's embarrassing.
Sure.
It's embarrassing. And nobody really wants to admit that they're getting their ass whipped in their own house.
Or that they have a toxic relationship.
Because
some of them, honestly, they going upside each other's heads. Right. I mean, it's, they always do. Every Friday night, they get to pushing and shoving and doing all of this foolishness. Somebody fell down the steps. Somebody did. I mean, it's real messy. It's very messy.
Very messy.
So before we wrap up, there's one last question. One last one.
Okay.
If you were to win the $400 million jackpot, what's the first thing you're going to do? You got 400 million and you stop.
Listen, I know the first thing I'm gonna do. I am dropping to my knees. Thank you, Jesus.
Right. So after I give thanks to the Lord,
Right. The whole praise party all night.
I may be calling some kind of attorney or financial planner. Like, you need help to kind of plan that out. You can't just you don't just go down to your local bank and deposit your check.
And wait a minute.
You don't just go down the street to PNC and be like,
no. And I'm not. And we say financial.
Right, and waiting for it to be good in 5 days.
Right, no. And when I say financial planning, I'm not calling Vanguard.
Right, you gotta plan that out. You need some help planning that out.
I think for me, I would, because just from working every day, I can afford to buy a plane ticket to wherever.
Mm-hmm.
I would need to, but I would buy a plane ticket and go sit somewhere because I would need a moment.
Right.
I don't care if I went there for 2 or 3 days. I'd go sit by the water somewhere on some island somewhere so I could digest and get my shit together.
Get right.
And I just got $400 million. Okay?
Exactly. What do you do with the winning ticket?
So I probably won't be available for the podcast.
Right. We're gonna soon.
Right.
I'm calling out. Okay.
Right. But what do you do with the ticket? Do you put it in your wallet? Do you carry it with you everywhere you go?
No.
Like, before I turn this in, what do I do with
prior to you knowing what it was worth, it was probably sitting in your wallet.
You can keep the ticket at home. Don't nobody know if you won but you until you tell
I'd be scared to death to walk away from that ticket.
But listen, all you got to do is put your name on it. Once you fill it in with your name.
Okay, I'd be afraid there'd be a fire, a flood, a hurricane, a tornado, rip the roof off and blow my ticket away in the wind.
Yes, because that's what's going to happen.
Right. And you can always go to your bank and get a lockbox or something more.
I'm trusting people at the bank. I'm trusting people at the bank with my $400 million ticket. I'm probably gonna stick it right in here. All the ink rub off.
Exactly.
I'm gonna say, no.
I'm thinking stick it in a drawer at your house. Don't nobody know that you won nothing.
Stick it in the drawer and be okay with it.
And watch me forget where I put it.
But hold on. Before you stick it in that drawer, take a picture of it.
Right. Take a picture of it. Okay. Fill it out and take a picture.
Fill it out and take a picture of it. So if some shit go down, it's yours.
Right. Take a picture of it and then email it to yourself.
Yeah.
So just in case.
But the government gonna see it.
Because I hear you.
The government gonna see it.
Well, because this way, in case your phone get destroyed, then the picture's gone. That way, if you email it, they can email it to you.
Really? What'd you say? Would you say text it to me in case your phone get destroyed? Then you still got another copy.
Right. You email it to yourself. You can access. Listen, Stephanie, the one talking about the roof gonna get blown off in
I can't with her. I cannot.
I'm just trying to help out. I'm saying take a picture and email it to yourself.
I'd be a nervous wreck.
I would have to go to an island for like 2, maybe 3 days just to gather my thoughts, and I would sit there and just sip and drink a lot, and then after about 72 hours, I'd come on back home, and I would exhale and be like, "Shit!"
And then call somebody.
What am I going to do now?
You got to call somebody to help plan that out. So
call somebody, right? Yeah. So
call your co-host. We'll help you. Call your co-host.
Right. Because you gonna call out for the podcast too.
I was about to say, I ain't calling you because I ain't gonna be on the podcast anyway. So listen, y'all rock out. Tell the people on the GYST, I say, hey, I'm done.
I'm getting all of my ish together.
I quit. I'm not giving you 2 weeks notice.
I quit.
When I tell you, I would be done in a moment. I wouldn't even go back to the office. I would call them and be like, yo, I don't even know if I would call them. I'd be like, they would be saying, where's Gay?
See, I always said if I won money like that, I would probably continue to work, or maybe at that point start a bit, but I would continue to do something. Like I'm
Oh
not.
yeah, I would continue to do something on my own, but I wouldn't be going to nobody's damn office. No, hell no.
Yeah, but even that takes on a whole different light when you know you don't have to be there.
Because you can say what you gonna do. No,
Yeah.
I'm not doing that work. No, I'm not going to that meeting. Now what?
What
I'm
you gonna
gonna
do? Fire me? I got 400 million. Bye. Bye, Felicia.
Bye, Felicia.
Bye.
Right.
Oh my God. Listen, for those of you who have tuned into the GYST, thank you so much from the bottom of our hearts. We love it when you all join in with us. Also, every Monday and Wednesday, we are right here talking about whatever's happening in the world and anything else, along those lines. So join us every Monday, every Wednesday at 8 p.m. I'm your host, Kay, Val, Stephanie. We love you all for tuning in to the GYST, because when it comes to life, love, and the pursuit of happiness, sometimes you just need a moment to get your shit together. And if you win, any of you win 400 million, get your shit together with us.
Right.
With us.
Give me a shout.
We will see you all next week. Bye.
Bye.